I think I'm quite ready for another adventure.
No, man, let me take a look at that map right quick. Because we're tired of being the trail donkeys, acting like you some one-man GPS. Damn it! We lost!
I'm hopelessly lost!
Is this what day is this?
Hi, hello, hi. Well, you know what I'm doing? Well, I'm doing the podcast, but other than in this short period of time, we're going to be doing this, I'm probably doing what a lot of you are doing, a whole lot of nothing. Now, I do a blog with Jamie based around traveling. I do a podcast based sort of around traveling. And when you can't travel anywhere, really, even to the grocery store, well, hell, I can go to the grocery store, but I'm even beginning to get shunned for going unnecessarily. And I have to wear a mask, which is fine. But when traveling to the local park is starting to become a little scandalous, running out of things to discuss. Now, we are being inundated with information on the coronavirus, the sad stories, the occasional happy stories of the pandemic, of the infections, of the deaths, all of these things, and you can't escape it. You can't check anything without that being the headline. You know, whether it's Facebook, whether it's, it doesn't matter what it is. It's everywhere. So I thought, how nice would it be to provide maybe a moment's escape from the coronavirus news feed, which we cannot escape from. Wouldn't that be nice? It would be. But I'm not going to do it. You know why? Because I can't go anywhere, so I don't really have much to say beyond the coronavirus and how it affects, basically what I tend to talk about. Travel. Now, there's the obvious repercussions, which is, again, beyond the fact that I can't go to the park without getting, eyes, is that you can't really fly anywhere, especially out of the country. Now, I believe you can actually leave the country, but you may not enjoy it because you're basically, no matter where you go, your ass is going to be on a 2-week quarantine. For the most part, it's a self-quarantine. Go to your hotel, Again, this is like the vacation perhaps before the vacation, where you can walk around a new country with all of its stores closed. So there's no reason to travel. But again, if you must, even for work, for example, I'm not sure if it's Taiwan or Singapore, it is not self-quarantine. You do not go to your hotel room and watch Netflix. It is a government quarantine. Now, maybe they have Amazon Prime in wherever they're sticking you for 2 weeks. But it's up to them. And who knows? Maybe they put child locks or child controls or filters on the TV, and they forgot the passcode to, watch HBO. I don't know. Anyways, it's just, you're not going anywhere. Let's just be honest. But the question isn't necessarily us not being able to go anywhere right now. But soon, right? Soon, we will be able to go places. But, how do we know that? How do we know that the industries that exist that facilitate travel beyond just for leisure, business as well, how do we know that they're going to be the same? How do we know there's going to be enough left where it's not going to be forever altered? So I just want to give maybe a little perspective on how intrinsically connected these different industries are that all pull together to be tourism. How they are being affected, and how there's likely going to be a ripple effect, and this is going to affect us for a very long time. Just real quick, on 9/11, studies have shown that air travel, at least in the U.S., didn't recover for 2.5 years. Okay? That was, granted, based more around fear of flying. But hell, SARS, which did not shut the world's economy down, affected air travel for over 9 months and cost billions of dollars. Okay? That was also based around fear. Now, granted, those were purely based around fear. It had not on, the fact that the airline industry was literally shutting down. You don't think the coronavirus is going to provide just as much fear, if not more, than those other two? those other two did not cause long-term shutdowns of the economy. They didn't cause the airline industries to screech to a halt, burn through the reserves, and as reports are currently showing, half the airlines in the world are going to go bankrupt by the end of May, unless governments step in. Now, I don't know if that's the best option. I have my own opinions. But again, these are reports. I'll let the top economists decide, what makes the most sense, build their models, and see what happens. Now, I know we don't like giving, the millionaires more money. Scrooge McDuck upon his pile of golden coins. But I think it's a little more complicated than that. Okay? So I just want to give a little perspective on, I'm going to go with just the airline industry. Okay? Really quick, the airline industry, I think, is kind of like the nucleus that, at the center of this giant tourism cell. Okay? It dies, the rest of it dies. Hell, if it's even severely affected, the rest of it, it's exponential. It's not one for one, okay? Hell, the airline industry gets hit by, say, half of its airline shutdown. You think that only half of tourism around the world is going to close down? It's going to be more than that, okay? Because hospitality, for example, in the U.S. and the U.K. accounts for about 1/10 of all workers. That's not even restaurants, okay? So it's in the majority of hospitality, the highest average I saw scouring the internet for hotels that had local stayers, its occupancy be local people, was half. And those were small town situations. So you got to figure, in the most common I found was about 10 to 15% were people that were local. Everybody else is traveling. So what do you think will happen if people cannot travel? Granted, everybody's dealing with this right now, but I'm talking about after this is all lifted. So American Airlines, for example, is the one that is most likely to fail, or at least the largest U.S. airline that is expected to go bankrupt. So leading up to this, American Airlines, as many airlines do, they leveraged their debt to do things like make their fleet younger. So you have Delta Airlines has the most debt of all the U.S. carriers at $30 billion. That is so much money. That is so much money. So they are not sitting on a pile of cash. What they essentially did was they were projecting our economic growth in this country because it was trending upwards. There was no real signs of it slowing down. And so what they were doing was they were buying back stock. They were taking loan. They were doing anything they could to reinvest for the future, with the intentions of their expenses decreasing and then, their profits at that point being higher and then being able to pay off the debt and then it all breaking even in the future. They were on pace to have the youngest fleet of all the new airlines, but to do that, they had to go into debt, a lot of debt. And again, all the economic projections showed that while that was not good, what was happening? Their stock prices were going up. Why were they going up? Because people, other investors saw the trend of the economy, which again was continuing upward, saw the what their moves were. It was chess over checkers. They were like, all right, they're losing pieces early to set up their opponent later. Okay? And if everything continued as, status quo, they would have benefited. But what happens when they basically peak out with the most debt in the country? This happens. Now, unlike 2008, the banks who cheated and screwed and lied the American people and then were bailed out, this could not be predicted. This is the virus is basically like sitting down with your family for dinner, and the Kool-Aid man breaks through the wall, family dinner wall. That is unexpected. Hell, it actually might be more unexpected if he was to knock on the door and ask to come in. Imagine I could just use most people, a lot of people, right now as the perfect example. Imagine the airline industry is like any other family out there where they can't work from home. The parents can't work from home. Okay? Granted, layoffs can be unexpected at times, but could they be more unexpected than this? Your business could have been thriving. But it doesn't matter how well your business is doing. If the government says stop to the whole economy, what happens? You get laid off. but you still got bills. Husband and wife at home making no money because the economy shut down. Doesn't mean they still don't have to pay for their kids' food, for their mortgage, bills, all that kind of stuff. This immediate, sudden halt to the economy is completely unexpected, and it's going to probably destroy American Airlines, for one. It's one of the largest employers of workers. Again, one of the larger fleets, and eventually would have been one of the younger fleets, but probably not going to happen now. For how much debt they have and how much the government is planning on putting aside. It's supposed to go out to all the airlines, so, really don't think that it would have to basically all go to American Airlines to save them, at least to keep their head above water. So, again, let's just say half of them shut down. Let's say 20% of the airlines are crap anyways, like Spirit. And maybe some of them, maybe we need to trim the fat a little bit, okay? But let's just say half of the airlines go under because of this. They can't sit for months, not taking flights. And hell, the flights that they're taking, a lot of them are losing money on. My brother was just on a flight from NorCal to SoCal, and there's 2 other people on the plane. They lost money on that flight, 100%. I don't understand why they did it. Maybe they're just trying to maintain customer relations and keep their loyalty by losing exorbitant amounts of money on flights. Because they still got 2 pilots, have to, still have a full tank of gas, which weighs the plane down, which means it burns more fuel to get places, have to. Still have a full flight of stewards, flight attendants, whatever you want to call them. They lost money on that flight. Okay, so how often can they do that? How long could they practice this, method of flying people around still, even though they're halting a lot of flights? Canadian Airline, the main Canadian airline, furloughed 90% of its workers. The largest regional airline in Europe, Flybe, already went under, by the way. American Airlines is likely to be next. So this is going to have wide-ranging effects. If people, let's just say it got cut in half. Okay, half the available flights to go from A to B, wherever B may be, whether it's for business or for leisure. Hell, packages being delivered. That's what Southwest is doing right now to compensate for the lack of people on their airplanes. What happens? Do you think the other airlines could just pick up the slack, pick up the 50% loss of available travel, available slots for these travelers? There's no way. There's no way, especially after basically losing money for months, barely surviving. The ones who are going to get out of this are going to barely survive it. You think they're then suddenly going to have the money to double their fleet to compensate for the loss of airlines and their fleets? No. They're going to be gone. They'll come back maybe. They will come back one day. When the demand is there, the supply will come, but it's going to take a long time. Now, we're all going to be affected by this, and we know that the comeback is going to be a long time. But I want to give a picture of how it's a wider ranging effect than we realize. Okay? You lose half the airlines. That's a lot less people flying to different places. A lot less hotels getting workers. That's a lot more people that are going to lose their jobs. Okay? So, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just saying what's happening. Now, in regards to tourism, okay, how important tourism is. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people live in cities like, we get a lot of people who visit. America, for example, 8% of America's GDP comes from tourism. 8%. That's pretty high. That's it. You know how many tours we're getting? Not very many. Hell, none, to be completely honest. So, all these different, there's countries that it's a hell of a lot more than 8%. Now, keep in mind the losing half the airlines, okay? The current expectation of half the airlines. That's a lot less people that are going to be traveling to countries, okay? I'm going to just go through a couple countries here and let you know how high the percentages tourism relates to their GDP or contributes. So you have China, 11%. They're not getting that back for a long time after this. Italy, 13%. Spain, 15%. Mexico, 17%. Thailand, 22%. Philippines, 25%. Iceland, 33%. Bahamas, 40%. Now, granted, you figure that places like the Bahamas would be less affected by this, just in the sense that people aren't quite as concerned about the warm weather as a place that the virus can thrive as well. So, there are still a lot of flights that are going to, or a lot of trips that were previously planned to island nations that have not been canceled. Besides the fact that you figure there's going to be a lot, maybe, and those are previously booked, by the way, previously paid for. This is a report from tourism agencies. A lot of those, most of those, haven't been canceled. But how many more are they going to get? When people basically don't make money for 3 months, when they come out of it, you know what they do? They built up debt, and they're not about to suddenly start buying trips to the Bahamas. So maybe the current trips that are planned will remain intact for these countries, but they're going to fall off the map when this all gets out of it. But let's talk about the Asian countries, okay? Now, there's a report by a bunch of different tourism agencies that up to 90% of the trips that they had scheduled for people in Asia, anywhere in Asia, even places that aren't particularly affected, have been canceled. Or, flat out canceled, or asked for credit to be used for a different trip or stuff like that. There's a stigma right now because of this virus about the countries in Asia. India as well, which, by the way, is really hasn't been very affected by the virus. They're being blacklisted, and they're honestly some of the countries that have the most reliance on tourism. So, again, places like the Philippines and Thailand and Japan are being highly affected by this because of how much they rely on tourism, but because Asia is attached to them. Again, this is just what's going on with tourism agencies and the cancellations. This is the trend that's happening. It's the sentiment that's out there. They're going to be severely affected by this. And what's funny is if you look at the infection rates of countries, they're not that high. America's, Western Europe, the infection rate in those countries significantly higher than the Philippines, than Thailand, than India. So it's a stigma that's just not true. It's uninformed, but it exists and it's happening. And again, it's going to have serious effects on their economies. And that compounded with the loss of even available flights to these places, it's trouble. It's trouble. Travel within the United States, how much that's going to change, I mean, that's to be seen. With the loss of flights, what's going to end up happening? Increase in prices. Why? Less supply. Potentially same demand. We'll say the demand decreases, but it's not going to decrease as much as the supply is going to decrease. And when you don't have as many flights to choose from, and you have a lot of people trying to get on them, it's going to cause the prices to go up. So it's probably going to disincentivize people to go to these places, whether it's flying to another state. Leisure travel will take a hit. How much business travel takes a hit after all this? Probably not much. I'm sure the cost will be eaten by the companies who have to pay more for a flight, but that's minimal. But people traveling for leisure, if they see that their flights have gone up, $150, $200, $400, I mean, who knows? I mean, it's to be seen, remains to be seen. It's going to stop people from traveling as much. And again, wide-ranging effects. It's going to cause people countries' economies to struggle. It's going to cause the hospitality industry to take a massive hit, which again employs a ton of people. So this ripple effect, it's much more than just we lose a couple airlines, whatever. They're rich, they'll get over it. Jobs lost, other industries affected, world economies affected. Because again, I'm telling you, go take a look at the countries and how much their tourism relies on, or their GDP. Tourism accounts for their GDP. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. France, Spain, Portugal, huge percentages. I never would have thought. So, again, massive effect. Now, that's kind of enough about scaring everybody about how this is going to affect everything. What can we do about it? Huh? What can we do? Well, travel. Not now. I understand. There is one, you can't. And, for certain people, be honest about your current health, whether it's underlying conditions, whether you're just not particularly healthy. You got that big old meat machine you got that meat car you drive around every day called your body, and if you you take care of it, I imagine you'll be a little less susceptible to the worst case. I know that healthy people have died from the virus. Obviously, it's a smaller percentage, and if you're older, you can't really do anything about that. But I'm saying, be honest about your health, and but at a certain point, this is going to be lifted. The quarantine is going to go away. The government restrictions on travel are going to be lifted. And then it is going to be up to us what we want to do. Now, people are going to set, as they already have. There's been studies that have gone out asking people about when, because again, tourism, because it is such a massive part of the economy, there are obviously studies that are going out there that want to know when the hell people are considering traveling again, once this all comes. And what do people do? They set arbitrary dates. Maybe February 2021. Yeah, I think that's a good date. Why that date? Well, it feels good. I don't know. It's far enough away from this, but it's close enough to this, and then the prices fall in. That's just a good date. It's a good date. Now, I'm not saying that they're wrong. Who knows? Could they turn out to be right? But I will just go ahead and allow two factors or two variables in my decision on when I start traveling. One, if I'm allowed to by the government. If I'm allowed to in the countries or the places I want to fly to have no restrictions or mandated quarantines that would exist if I went there. That's one variable. Second variable, how healthy am I? Do I have any concerns? Maybe how would I approach the actual function of traveling on the airplanes? How careful would I be? Well, that's not really a variable. That's just what I do. But how healthy am I? Healthy. All right, there you go. I'm good to travel. That's my thought process. Granted, it's different from other people's. I'm not trying to tell you one way or the other. You just need to make this decision for yourself because the ball will be in your court. Now, you can donate to places, which is good. We should all donate. But another way to help our economy, other places' economy, is to remove the fear, to remove the stigma, to not give this pandemic the long-ranging effects that possibly we don't, or power that we may not need to give it. Okay, so once the government deems that it's safe to travel, let's get out there and do it. Typically, after things like this, especially again, this is going to affect China for a long time. It's going to affect China for a very long time. There's going to be a fear about traveling to China, maybe justified. It's going to affect their economy. Okay, what ends up getting rid of that, because it's not that it's going to be any safer in 2 years that it's going to be in a year. I'm talking out of my ass potentially, but it's removing fear from the equation and recognizing it can still be safe. Just real quick, it's just an example of how we affect an economy with not blackballing a country for travel based on fear. In 2011, I don't know if you recall, but the nuclear power plant meltdown in China obliterated their tourism economy, plummeted, and it took years to recover. But in the span of 1 year, their tourism rate tripled. It went up from being the lowest it had been in, however long they were keeping records, to the highest it had ever been by a long margin. I think it was about 15 million people. And why is that? It just took an initial surge of people to go there. A little faith was restored in the country's ability to be, or just the safety of the country. And people started flooding there. Why? Because they missed it. People wanted to still go to Japan. They wanted to see the, what are they called? Those pink flowers. They wanted to see them. But people were afraid. People were afraid. Not based on any particular information, but they were afraid. And so they went back to it. Jamie's coming in here.
I gotta pee.
Yeah. I like to do these podcasts by myself because I ramble and I find it uncomfortable when someone's standing here watching me. Anyways, so yes, once the surge came back, their economy went up, and tourism has been a massive percentage of their economy ever since. My hope is that when we are able to, that we'll band together, those who feel that they are physically able, and get back out there, get back to traveling, get back to it's not. I mean, let's be honest. It's not charitable. You're not going to these countries purely because you want to help their economy. You're going because you want to do something fun. But hey, isn't it nice when you can go somewhere and do a good thing at the same time? Look at that. You're going to go create memories, good Instagram pictures, meet some friends, lifetime friends potentially, and, help an economy out. That's a toilet flushing. And the water running. All right.
I agree with you. I love you.
Okay. So, that's my take. My take on how to respond after this all goes down, again, is not being too afraid to start traveling again, to make your own decisions on whether you're healthy enough, but to put the effort out there. I'm not going to lie, I have a trip planned for the Philippines in August. It has been planned for quite some time, and I'm going. I mean, the only reason I would not go is if the government came in and told me, you can't. Or the Philippines was still locked down because they hit it hard, early, real hard. The reason their infection rate is very low. So I'm going. And that's what's going on. And now I can hear them. Talking. Okay. You know what I think? I think it's time to do. Maybe I will bring you away from this whole subject for a little bit, the coronavirus. Oh, actually, no. I need to talk to you about deals. I need to talk to you about opportunities that could arise from all this. Now, maybe that sounds sick. Maybe that sounds gross. Maybe that seems opportunistic. But, I mean, what? Let's not be naive. There's going to be a couple things that come out of this. And if you are one of the people who are so inclined to start traveling right away, you will likely benefit most from this. Few things. Let's talk about, first off, let me just keep your expectations at a realistic level. Okay? Airline prices. They are not suddenly going to drop precipitously. It's not going to be a 50% cut in airline prices. It still costs a lot of money to move a big-ass thing of metal through the sky with highly trained pilots and a staff. That cost is... Honestly, I would not be surprised if flight prices went up after this. Okay? Few reasons. One is that if the predictions are right and there are significantly less airlines left, less flights, less supply, same demand, even a little less demand, prices are going to go up. Okay? But let's say that's not the case. Let's say that somehow all the airlines are saved. It's the same number of planes. How wonderful and unrealistic. And the demand is the same. Why would your demand would probably be less, and you would assume lower the prices to incentivize people to start flying. I did a little research into how much money is actually made per person from a flight average. Now, I learned this when I worked at the car dealership. Okay, quick little thing about things. The whole world has changed. Information is different. Okay, one being in just the amount of competition out there overall in just products and services, as well as information that consumers have. There is not nearly as much profit or the ability to fool people as there used to be. Okay? So when I worked at the car dealership, I was shocked to find out, because I was a salesman, how little profit there can be in cars typically. I'd sell a car. We had a sheet in the manager's office. There was a new car department and a used car department. Used car department, a lot more profit on cars because of a whole bunch of factors. New cars, not so much. It would not be surprising to go into the office at the end of the day, see the 11 cars sold for the day, and see on the side there'd be profit per car. You'd see $1,200 profit, $2,400 profit, $142, negative $300, negative $200, $192, like regular, okay? Less than you think. So I thought, well, I wonder how much money they're making per person on a flight, So all right, top 7 U.S. Airlines. The average profit per passenger is $19.65. Now, I'm sure it's a little bit more for first class, but obviously that is not a majority of passengers. Very small percentage. But the average, and obviously it's an average, so it takes into account maybe the ultra economy seats that say they only make $8 profit on, and first class they make $32 on it. It's an average. So the average is $19.65 per passenger. That does not leave a bunch of wiggle room to suddenly lower our prices by hundreds of dollars. Okay? So just have your expectations for flights low. I don't think those are going to change very much. Prices, availability, that's probably all going to get worse, to be honest. But other things will get better. Okay? Hotels. Now, there will probably be a discount on hotels. Again, same thing. Their profit range or net profit margin's not as big as you think. I saw a lot as low as 1%, and then they seem to peak out around 16%. Basically, that's just imagine that if your hotel room's $100 and it's 16%, they can wiggle it around 16% of that to give you discounts. But from everything I've read, it's deals, not price deals, but value. Say perhaps a hotel that gives you free meals, that gives you free high-speed internet, or gives you free access to things you wouldn't normally have, free tours, things like that. That's where you're going to get the deals. You're going to get the deals in value, getting more for your buck. Again, certain things they can only price so much. Like, for example, hotel or restaurants. Restaurants, the margin that they make on alcohol is significantly higher than they do on food, or most food. Depends on the food. So you just got to if you're going to be traveling to a place, pick a list of hotels or companies that you're considering, call them up, see what they can offer, see what kind of deals they can provide you. Let them compete against each other and see what they're willing to do. There are going to be unique opportunities available after this because they want people to come, all right? And again, the hotels aren't going to immediately close down. There still may be this huge collection of hotels, and with less people able to fly, because there's less airlines, they're going to be fighting harder for your buck, for your business. So make them work for it. Don't get lazy. Don't pick the first place you see, and don't just base it on price necessarily, because honestly, there could be other factors contributing to a low price. A couple things, for example, that can contribute to that, and this isn't just with hotels. Again, when we talk about value, I'm talking about tour companies, tours in general, excursions, any type of excursions, whether it's a wine tasting trip or wineries, anything, literally anything. When you travel, you go on Airbnb experiences, all of that stuff is you're getting a value because it's not necessarily a product that you're getting, it's an experience you're getting, and so there's more wiggle room. Now, lost my train of thought. Lost it. How do you lose a train of thought? They shouldn't call it a train of thought. Train is going on tracks. You always know where it's going. It's going that way, left or right, north to south. It's going straight. It should be like, I don't know. They need to change that saying. Because if I lost my train of thought, I would just get on the tracks and run after it. One way or the other, there's a 50% chance of catching it. Okay, so, yeah, again, call these places up, see what they can offer you. Oh, yes, be aware. Be aware of the prices, okay? So you're going to have companies that are going to go bankrupt, okay? So, when people say it's too good to be true, it could definitely be too good to be true. So what do? Honestly, sometimes all you can do is get traveler's insurance. Now, I am not a person to ever get traveler's insurance. Okay? I live off the it'll be fine mentality. It's cool. I'll tell you right now, I might get my ass some travel insurance next trip I go on. Why? Let's say you book an excursion, a 2-day sailing trip or whatever. You're like, God, that's some cheap-ass prices. Man, yes, please. You don't do any research. Why? Because it's so much cheaper than the others. Now the pictures look good. What could go wrong? Well, they could go bankrupt before you get there. In fact, they may just be trying to get as much cash before they go bankrupt as humanly possible. And that's especially after this all goes down, that's not going to be an unrealistic turnout. Now, I'm not saying that they're purposefully doing this. They're not purposely trying to deceive people. Some will be, by the way. Also a reason you make phone calls and ask as many questions as possible. about staff, what they allow, cleanliness, all the kind of things. Ask all the questions you can think of. Reviews obviously help, but after what's going on here, a company that, existed on the margins for years and this hit them, they may lower the prices just to try and get some people in, but let's just say it's not enough to keep their head above water. Maybe they had the best of intentions just to get some business, and again, it could collapse before you get there, and good luck getting your money from someone who's gone bankrupt. It's not going to happen. So you may have to get traveler's insurance. But the other thing is just, again, whether it's an excursion, whether it's a hotel, particularly things like experiences and excursions, call and see what they can offer you. See what it actually entails, ask details about what it is, and make your decision that way. But the odds are that's where you're going to get your best deals with traveling. So I guess this for the people who are the more adventurous spirits, the more outdoorsy people, this could be prime opportunity to go places where it costs money to do trekking tours, for example, because you're really paying for their time and their expertise, and the rest of that price is based on demand, and the demand is very likely to go down. So the prices are likely to go down. So if you're planning on going on a trip where that's going to be a large portion of it, look back into it. Call. Negotiate. And then the other thing is what might be the scariest for people, and that's cruises. Oh, my God. Yes, where so many of the horror stories travel-wise in the past 3 years have existed, whether it's a ship full of turds that people are ankle deep in, or the one that flipped over and the captain jumped off before because he knew that he had gone too close to shore because he wanted to wave at his girlfriend, or the quarantine ships where people were stuck in their rooms with a little itty bitty window for a month. That sounds horrible, but risk reward, baby. Okay, you might be able to get some massive discounts. Now, flights, not so much. Hotels, maybe some free meals. Excursions, a little bit cheaper. But there's a pretty decent markup in cruises. Upwards of 30% markup. So immediately, that'd be a pretty fat discount. Okay, but they can also potentially offer discounts on the drink because we know how much markup is in alcohol, quite a bit. Potentially sometimes like 200-300%. And probably more on a cruise, probably 900% on a cruise. Now, I just made that number up, but I'm probably not that far off. You could probably get some crazy deals. And not only that, but especially, I think, this is my prediction, that, typically a company's not going to, if they have 30% profit margin in their whatever it is, they're not going to give you 80% off. Where's the incentive to do that? Well, I'll tell you right now, one of those industries that have some of the most cash on hand, like Princess Cruises, they can survive purely off of just cash for a year. And this isn't going to last a year. This is a few months. So I really believe that they are going to be able to offer some stupid discounts to the first available cruises. Why? They want to restore faith in the business. They want to show people on cruises having fun, not being sick, not dying. So my prediction is that they're going to lower the prices significantly more than their profit allowed. They'll take losses on their ship. Maybe they'll make it up somehow. Maybe people like to drink on these ships, so they may actually make it back in alcohol. But I'm convinced that on the actual tickets to be on these boats, if you were brave enough to be some of the early seagoers, ocean voyagers, whatever. If you're one of the people who are willing to jump on some of these early boats, I guarantee you those are going to be some of the best deals ever. I mean, granted, if you know someone in the industry, they give you a discount. That's cool. Go later. But if not, I think this is an incredible opportunity for those who are willing to risk it for that sea-worthy, delicious, free alcohol biscuit. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm not going to lie. That's what I'm thinking. I've been continuously looking up the cruises, seeing when they're going to open them back up for availability. So, just a thought. For only the particular people, and if you come home, don't just go give Grandma a hug. There's a little ways. Granted, I'm not taking this. I'm taking it seriously for the most part. I'm staying home. I only see a few people, and I feel like I do it safely at a distance. But if I was to travel, I would do it safely. Once I'm in the country, I'm in the country. if all their stuff's open, I'm going to function as if nothing's going on. But on the airplane, I'll be careful. I'll wear my mask. Okay, I didn't wear it last time to Peru, but I'll wear it now. I'll wear it now. And I don't think everybody, just so everybody knows, the filters that they have on planes, they're cleaner than we think. Okay, most airlines put their planes through like 9 hours of disinfectant every night. Okay, every airplane has gigantic air filters in their systems. You're not breathing. If someone sneezes into the air, those sneeze boogers aren't going into the vents and coming out, at the front of the plane as boogers. The air is being cleaned. Okay? So the air is not a problem. The only way you're going to have a problem on the airplanes is if the only recommendation from the airlines, they do everything else. Everything else. First off, if anybody has a symptom, COVID symptom on the airplane, as soon as it lands, they disinfect the entire plane. Okay? And again, 9 hours to disinfect the plane. They shut it down, lock it down, disinfect it 9 hours before putting it back out there. Okay? So their only recommendations is if you go on a plane, disinfect your seat. The armrests. Disinfect the touchscreen. And if the person next to you is sick, open up the emergency door and launch their ass out. No, they don't say that. They don't say to run and scream. They say to get off the plane. I don't know how this is, but I imagine they mean before you take off. I'm like, get the sick person off the plane. I'll take the risk. I'll disinfect it. I'm already wearing a mask. Anyways, so that you could still fly. You can do it safely. This thing is not airborne. Disinfect everything. Wear a mask. Get from A to B. I think you'll be okay. Now, I am not a doctor. I try to educate myself on the subject as much as humanly possible. But if the information that's out there in the news that is always changing is any indicator, is that everybody's playing with the amount of information we have, which is fluid. It is changing constantly. So we're all just doing the best we can. And again, me personally, my mentality is that I'll be fine. It'll be fine. And once the government allows me to start traveling again, in my mind, that's their tip of the hat. Their go get it, boy. And I'll be off to the races. Off to the races. And for those travel lovers out there, you want those deals? You want to support the world's economy? Remove the fear, remove the stigma, contribute. Get out there. Start doing stuff. Or at least just prep. Have a couple places in mind, And my hope, and this isn't just because I already have a ticket to the Philippines. That just happened to be the case, but I'm so happy that's where I'm going. Why? Because maybe that could be just the tiniest baby drop in the bucket of confidence that is going to show people like, okay, it's all right. We can go to the Philippines. We can go to, Asia. People, if you're going to travel somewhere, I think it'd be cool if as many people went to Asia as possible. Again, the information out there. They have less infection rates than most of these other countries, less than Europe, less than America. So, go back out there, remove the fear, remove the stigma, and let's start traveling again, because I am losing my mind in this house. Jamie, my love, does not like when I say that, because she's here all the time. We now live together in this quarantine. She can't go home. Okay? She cannot go home. Maybe she can. Maybe she won't. I don't know. We live together now. And as long as this quarantine is going on. And it's lovely. But I don't like to be in the house this much. I don't like to be in the house hardly ever. I come home to eat and sleep. And then I leave. I can't leave. So I'm getting a little antsy. And not only that, but the weather has sucked here lately. I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent now. Okay? As we all are probably going a little nuts. It's difficult. It's difficult. Like, I think this is the perfect opportunity to go ride bicycles. Go ride bicycles, run to the park, just be outside for any period of time. But, I swear, it hasn't rained. It's rained more during this pandemic than it has the entire year. It's like, I don't know if it's God just being like, his effort. The government tells us, do your part and stay home. And God's doing his part and making it rain every single day as a double incentive not to go outside. It sucks. But it's nice out today. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ride my bike. I'm going to go ride my bike to the park, do a workout at the park, anything like that, any opportunity to get outside. Now, for any of those out there who are like me, who are struggling with feeling a bit like a bum because you sit around all day with nothing to do, well, it's because possibly you have nothing to do. Not everybody can work from home. If you can work from home, good for you. So happy for you. You get to make your money. And I don't know if you like it more or less, but it's going to come to an end at some point. But for those of us who cannot work from home, who have to find some way to fill our day with things. Now, some people can just sit all day and watch TV and be perfectly happy. Good for you. I don't envy you, but good for you. I'm happy for you. I am not like that. If I sit all day on a couch and watch TV, I will feel like a bum, personally. I am the kind of person who needs to not achieve something, but I need to do something to earn lazy. I can't just be lazy. I got to earn my lazy, whether that's doing a workout. A good workout. I'll have earned myself a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch later. I'll earn the beer. If I work on a blog post, it takes me 4 hours. I earned myself a couple episodes of a TV show. I need to earn the lazy. I need to earn the bummy nature that I occasionally dip my toe into. And it's hard to find things that I can call, worthy of calling, I did that. I can only, reading a book to me is like just below watching TV all day. And I find myself getting trapped in books for a few hours. I'm like, shit, I haven't actually done anything yet. So find yourself some, if you're like me, and you're the kind of person who feels like you need to do something to earn your keep, earn your day, for your day not to be a failure in a sense, I'll give you some of the things I've been doing. Work out in your room or somewhere in your house. Push-ups, sit-ups, air squats. All you got to do. If you got a pull-up bar, good for you. Do a pull-up bar. Do a workout. 30 minutes. Play some music. Do it slow. Hell, do it to a TV show or two, and just don't stop till the show's over. Take your breaks when you need to, but don't stop till the show's over. You can, Jamie, for example, has been trying to learn, or she has learned quite a few songs on the ukulele. Now, if you don't have a ukulele, you can't do that, but try and teach yourself something. Learn a new subject if you have something you've been wanting to do that you've been putting off around the house. Fixing the sink. Home Depot's still open. Okay? They're essential. So if you have something, if you have a light bulb or a batteries that you haven't replaced on the fire alarms or whatever they're called, smoke detectors, do it. Take this time to be productive in some way. Clean your house. Clean the crap out of your house. Jamie's a homie. She cleaned this whole place spick and span. Just find little things. Hell, if you like to draw some pictures. If you have a project that you've been wanting to work on, a dream, future for yourself, put it on paper. I want to write a book. I wrote my first draft, and I'm very slowly working on the second draft of my fantasy book that hopefully someday people read. Find ways to be there are ways. Okay, they're not going to be massive. It's not going to be working, potentially, like me. It's not going to be a job right now, but you can find ways. And for the couples out there, I got a big one for you, all right? Do a scrapbook. Do a scrapbook. Jamie and I, this is the second year that we're doing a scrapbook together, and it's tedious, to say the least, but it's so worth it. One, I feel like when everything just sits in a digital cloud of pictures, they just get lost. You forget about them. Okay, what are you going to do? You want to go back and look at a picture? You just scroll through thousands and thousands of photos. Jamie knows how to do the deals. I think she did Shutterfly. And there's promos you can find where you only pay for shipping. Print as many pictures as you want. Okay? Jamie and I must have printed a couple hundred pictures. We got the scrapbook off Amazon for $20. And we're making a scrapbook together. It's for the year, January to December, start to finish, and we cut it, we make it pretty, we do it artsy fartsy, and it's incredibly rewarding. And so if you're a couple at home and you're starting to go a little insane, a little stir crazy, that's one way to occupy your time. You did something this day. So, and again, very rewarding. It's something you can have for the rest of your life. One day, hopefully, Jamie and I have a gigantic volume of 1 through 50 of these books of photos. I think it's going to be a hell of a thing for us. So, yeah, everyone out there, I don't know what to say to you anymore. Stay safe, and I guess if you're quarantining, you're staying safe. Try not to stay too bored. Do something, anything, for the love of God. I know it's hard, but we have to, stimulate your brain a little bit as much as you can. Don't be just a couch potato. Hell, do whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You want to be a couch potato? Be a couch potato. But be the best damn couch potato you could be. And that's it. That's it for this podcast. I'm going to go ahead. Next time I'll do story time. How about that? I'll just tell you stories about whether it's a trip or just whatever. Like my cat who vomited all over my lap the other day. I don't like her. We have a horrible relationship. You already heard the story how she pissed all over my backpack. Now she's vomiting on me. So I don't know what I did to her, but she doesn't like me. But yes, please check out our website, Where To My Love. Check out Jamie and my's Instagram, also Where To My Love. And you guys have yourself a nice, safe quarantine. And hopefully we'll be back in the regular world traveling very soon. Goodbye.
I want you to know it's over.
And? Your heart is free.
No, the journey doesn't end here.
Have the courage to follow it. Take that beauty and run. Don't look back. Live every second. Leave now. Leave now.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Bye-bye.